if you are owning a business already and you want to grow that business, the obvious solution to that growth problem is to acquire another business like yours. But there are other solutions which involve looking at your supply chain, your distribution chain, looking at complementary businesses and building up a group of businesses that feed each other. And I've got mastermind clients doing that very, very successfully indeed. So it's a great strategy to adopt.
Now, Jonathan, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about whether it was a good idea to buy a big business or a small business and the advantages and disadvantages of each. What we haven't talked about is what type of business to buy. What are the factors at play there?
Sure. So the majority of my mastermind clients own a business already. So the logical business to buy is one that is similar to the business that you already have. So if you have an electrical engineering business, you buy another electrical engineering business, you've now got a larger electrical engineering business. You could, of course, look at buying a similar business to yours in a completely different area. So you widen your geography. You could look at even buying a business similar to yours in another country. I mean, that happens occasionally, but not very often. Mm-hmm. You could, of course, look at your supply chain and you could say, what do I spend a lot of money on? I'll give you an example. I had a client who was an art dealer and he spent £250,000 a year on the wooden frames.
Yes, mounted frames
that pack the art when it's being shipped. And he discovered that it was actually a lot more cost effective to buy one of these wooden frame companies. I'm sure there's a technical name for them.
Sure.
And therefore not just provide his own framing, but for other galleries as well, which gave him an interesting connection with other gallery owners that might be interested in selling. So looking at your supply chain is sometimes a very good policy, or looking at your distribution chain. So if you spend a lot of money on distribution, then maybe owning part of your distribution is a good thing. So when you own a business, you can start looking at those complementary businesses. So for example, a dental practice, obvious thing to do, you buy another dental practice, but you might buy some sort of diagnostics laboratory as well, which means that you make your dental practices more profitable because you're sending everything off to your own laboratory to create the crowns and all of those things, rather than sending them to someone else. So you can start to build up a spider's web of businesses which all feed into each other. A very common example I hear a lot is when you have businesses that rely upon digital marketing, and yes, you get to the point where outsourcing it is very expensive. Insourcing it means you've got to go and hire the right people. Then you've got to get a manager and you go through all those growing pains. Just far easier to buy a digital marketing business.
Yeah, very good.
And you become the number one client of that digital marketing business.
So another example, I believe I remember you talking to a merchandising and print company that bought yes, a balloon printing company, and that was a kind of additional merchandising, wasn't it?
Yes. So what happened was that this was a large format print company, and they did exhibition banners and stands and large format graphics. And they bought a balloon printing company that sold these balloons online. So people went to the website and they say, we want 100 balloons with our company logo. So immediately they'd phone them up, and this didn't happen before. So the balloon printing company just serviced the order and that was it. So the new owner, my mastermind client, would contact them. So the sales team would phone them up and say, we've got your order for 100 balloons with your logo on. What's the event? Oh, we're going to an exhibition and we thought we'd get ahead of ourselves and order everything early. Oh, so when is it? It's in 3 months' time. Okay. Have you got your stand? Have you got your graphics? Have you got your point of sale material? And as a result, that acquisition of the balloon printing company, which was a no money down, didn't require any cash in from the buyer, ends up being the feeder of new inquiries into the large format print company.
It actually enhanced the entire business, and they became better than the sum of their two parts, if you like.
It transformed the business. Yeah, absolutely. What everyone jumps to is you buy another dental practice, you buy another printing company, but you can start thinking outside of the box and look at all the other options and say, actually, how do I feed customers? If my problem is growth, and usually the problem is growth, that's why you want to do an acquisition. Well, you could just acquire another company and double up, or you could acquire a company that feeds the inquiries, feeds the leads, the sales leads into your existing business.
If you own a business and you want to grow via acquisition, Mastermind is the group that you should be part of. Information in the description below.
Now, every once in a while, one of your mastermind students goes and does something rash and buys a company in a completely new sector that they have no experience of. The one I'm thinking of is the chap who bought a tree surgery business without any background in trees. Yeah.
And he's about to do his second one, by the way.
Another tree surgery business? Or
yes, yeah, which doubles up, which brings him up to 5 million of revenue.
So what are the benefits and what are the risks? I mean, I think there must be more risks, surely.
And the risk is you don't understand what you're buying. And I suppose the glib answer is, well, I'm not going to be running it. Yes, but you're still chairperson of the business. You might not be there every day, but ultimately the buck will stop with you. So you've got to understand what it is that you're buying. So if your background is IT, then buying an IT company makes a lot of sense. In the case of the person that you're talking about, he was a management consultant. You're absolutely right. He didn't know anything about tree surgery, but he describes himself as a quick learner. And now, after I think probably 18 months have passed on that first acquisition, he's very knowledgeable about how this type of business works, how you bid for the local authority contracts, how you price the work, the levers to pull to create more profitability, and all of those things. So now he can take that acquired knowledge, acquire business number 2, which is in the process of doing right now, and he knows what to look for in the diligence. So that is really important. In fact, let me just emphasize that. If you're buying a business that you know nothing about, in the due diligence phase, remember that your diligence people work under your instruction and direction. So they will provide you with the information that you ask for, but you might not know what to ask for. So you might not realize, for example, to continue with the same case study, that the local authority contracts are absolutely critical to a tree surgery business. You know, you're removing trees that overhang the road and the local park areas. So therefore, you don't diligence the right things. So having some knowledge of the sector always gives you an advantage. If you don't have knowledge of the sector, then there is actually a hack, if you like, which is to bring on board someone who already does. And this could be someone who's already had some success in that sector, someone who's retired from the sector and is just something part-time, who is happy to help, advise, and recommend. Sometimes they don't want anything for it. They just want you to be successful. They want to keep busy, and they can introduce you to people, and they can show you what to do and what to look for and what's important and what's not important. So that industry expert can sometimes be the shortcut to really understanding a business quickly.
Yeah, very good. So to sum up then, I have my first business. I want to grow it. You've convinced me that growing it organically is hard work. I'm going to look for my first acquisition. Sum up in 2 or 3 points what we've discussed.
Okay. So always the best policy is going to be to stick with what you know. And if you feel as though you don't know any sector particularly well because you're leaving corporate life, you say, what are my skills? Your skills might be sales and marketing. Okay. So you look for businesses that are sales and marketing led, or your skills, like, for example, a client I was speaking to the other day, skills of business processes. And with a very process driven business like manufacturing, he knows that he can bring to the table a skill set. So if you are owning a business already and you want to grow that business, the obvious solution to that growth problem is to acquire another business like yours. But there are other solutions which involve looking at your supply chain, your distribution chain, looking at complementary businesses and building up a group of businesses that feed each other. And I've got mastermind clients doing that very, very successfully indeed. So it's a great strategy to adopt.